From Los Angeles, I'm Eddie Garcia. He's Doug Stolhand. Thanks for joining us for another edition of the Puck Podcast. It is Monday, December 7th, a date that will live in infamy, 2025. And some people have no idea what that even means, which is
it's
sad.
Sunday, December 7th, not Monday.
Oh, did I say Monday? Sorry, yes. Sunday. Yeah. I was so focused on the date that I completely whiffed on the day. This is the first period of a 3-period podcast. The first period, which some of you are watching on YouTube, will cover all the news from the past week in the NHL. We'll let you know what's going on a couple of different fronts here that are interesting. Second period, we'll recap all the games from the past week in the NHL. There were some eventful games definitely worth talking about. And the third period is our fan feedback segment. We read listener emails. We give you our off-ice report, tell you what's going on in our lives. You can catch all 3 periods of the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you're seeing, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
This is the 20th season the NHL that the Puck Podcast has covered. We launched ourselves back in July of 2006 and have been doing a show every single week since then as the NHL's unofficial show of record. We cover all 30, 31, and now 32 NHL teams every single week. Wherever the biggest story is, that is where we start our show. And Eddie, you mentioned the Day of Infamy. You were born in Hawaii, but did not live there for long. I have been to the Pearl Harbor Memorial. I believe you have as well. Yeah. Quite the thing that now, over almost 70 years later, maybe it is past 70, oil is still leaking out of the ships that were sunk that day in Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, my wife was talking to me about this earlier, and as I have told you and probably shared on the show, because what haven't we shared at this point?
Yeah.
My wife was thinking, I wonder what my grandmother was doing at this time on that day, because the famous story was her father, my wife's father, was an infant when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. Her grandfather and her grandmother were in Honolulu. Her father was on a ship. I don't remember which one it was, or was at a base, a Navy base,
right.
And the attack happens, and he tells his wife, "See ya. I'm going off to war. Don't know when I'll see you again, if ever."
Yep.
And the real, as you know, the real kicker of the story was him giving her a pistol and saying, "If the Japanese invade, kill yourself and the kid. Goodbye." And she and did not hear from him again for months and months and months, when I guess he finally wrote a letter at some point, but
right.
Just insane.
No, it's crazy. And I would think that at that point, no news is good news, because if he dies, the military is going to come tell you. So
yeah, I would think,
you would think that no news is good news. And you can't just, when you're out at sea, there's no mail delivery. There's no regular, here's today's mail. No, you're just out. And
no internet, of course.
Of course.
And you might ask, why in the world would he say that to his wife and child? Well, because they believed that if the Japanese invaded Hawaii, they would, pillage and murder and rape and do all kinds of horrible things.
Yeah, the whole.
So go out on your own terms.
Right.
So
100%.
Needless to say, she didn't do that, and he survived. But that is quite the tale. And my wife was saying that there's only like a handful of people still alive that were at Pearl Harbor, and apparently none of them were healthy enough to attend the memorial today in Honolulu.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, I heard about it from my mother-in-law's side. She was a high school student during World War II in Japan. And it was, of course, presented as a day of great victory over there. But they also knew, the citizens knew, according to my mother-in-law, that this was not a good thing, because now the Americans were going to fight back. And we had not really gotten into the war and now it's like, well, we're in now. And she told me that after she got out of high school, they got on a train and they went out and they built munitions for the military. And then they got back on the train and came back home, and they did that every day. And I'm like, holy mackerel.
Yeah, I had an aunt who was born in Germany, and she was, in those bombings when, they were bombing civilian cities, both the Germans and the
Lights
English,
out.
going down into the bomb shelters and all that kind of stuff. And of course, she married my uncle who was in the army and came to America, and so on and so
funny
forth.
that I asked my mother-in-law about that too. I said, "How did you marry an American soldier after just fighting a war with America? Your family must have been." She's like, "There were no boys my age alive. Every boy my age had gone into the war. So it was like 20-1 girls to boys. So we all went to the bases because the Americans didn't leave. And we went to the bases to go to dances and meet boys. And and nature takes its course."
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, I never thought of that. It's a hell of a thing. Yeah. Enough of that.
I
We've got hockey to talk about.
We do. And our headline for this week is basically piggybacking off of last week's headline, as we've had some more discussion about Quinn Hughes and the Vancouver Canucks. Elliot Friedman, maybe the preeminent NHL insider for Sportsnet, reporting that he believes that the Canucks and the Devils have had conversations about a possible trade involving Quinn Hughes. Didn't say anything was imminent, just kind of the preliminary stage, but there has been an actual discussion between the two sides. And there was also reports that the Detroit Red Wings apparently are, as every team in the NHL would love to be, but apparently Detroit could be a landing spot for Quinn Hughes. I guess my question to you is, do you think this will happen this year? And do you have an opinion on where you think Quinn Hughes could land?
I don't think it'll happen this year. No. Now, as we know from the discussions of contract talks this past summer and off season and training camp, and from covering the Adrian Kempe negotiations well into the season, the term is always everything can change with one phone call. So if the Vancouver Canucks get a phone call and they say, "We'll give you 3 first-round picks and 2 prospects for Quinn Hughes," well, you got yourself a deal. And the Ed Ogeron, what door do you want him to come into, and when do you want him there? We will get him there as soon as possible. So if they get a crazy deal, then of course. But I don't think it's going to happen. He's signed through next season, which is what makes him most appealing to teams, is that it is not a rental. You're getting him for the remainder of this season and all of next year. He's an elite defenseman. He's a Norris caliber defenseman. But at the same time, what's Vancouver's motivation to get rid of him right now? There is none. So it would have to be an amazing deal, I think, to get him to move. And that's not to say that it won't be made. The problem, I think, is if you're Detroit, who I do believe is very interested, he's from Michigan. The Hughes family is from Michigan, so it would be him going home to play. How much confidence do you have that you'd be able to retain him? New Jersey would have high confidence that he would re-sign with them as early as July 1st, because his brothers Luke and Jack are already on the team, and it would be a reuniting, and it would feel so good for the Devils to have the Hughes brothers all under contract for the many years to come. But Detroit, the other 31 teams are not idiots. They know that. And so they are probably thinking we're going to have a hell of a time signing him beyond the 26-27 season. So are we willing to give up the price Vancouver is asking for what would be a 1.5-year rental? That's the price. That's what they have to decide themselves. And that's why I think the one team that has already entered discussions is the New Jersey Devils, because they know they can get him, they can retain him. The problem for them is it would have to be, they don't have a lot of salary cap, so they would have to send money to Vancouver. And at what point does that become detrimental to send depth out, multiple players perhaps, out to get this player? As good as he is, you do need depth in the playoffs if you're going to make a deep run. So what players are going? How do you replace those minutes in the lineup? And what does the roster look like for the rest of this season if you need to make further moves? Because as we know, you have to be cap compliant in the playoffs. Now you cannot pull a Lightning and Golden Knights and be over the cap. So I don't think it'll be this year, but I think we've crossed the old saying that, and we've been covering hockey and sports for a long time. We've heard this from many players in many different sports. Once you think about retiring, you've retired. And I think it's true here. Once you entertain the thought of trading Quinn Hughes, you're trading Quinn Hughes. He's not staying in Vancouver. So it's just a matter of when he gets traded and what the return is and where he goes, not if. So Vancouver fans have to come to terms with that. It's going to be a complete teardown to the studs, to the foundation, and rebuild from there. I don't think he'll be the last piece to go. Why would he be? And start, if you can get those guys, we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago. They got a lot of players with no movement clauses and no trade clauses. If you can get them to waive those to get out of town, great, because you see how Chicago's playing. You see how San Jose is starting to play. You see how Anaheim's playing. You see how Ottawa's looking. Teams that tore it down and build themselves back up in the draft have turned the corner and are playing good hockey. That's what you're hoping to do if you're Vancouver. But I don't think there's any rush to do it. He's under contract for another 18 months. They have plenty of time to make this move and make sure that they get the right deal for them to start their rebuild.
Do you think there is a team out there that is so desperate and is in such a small window to win a cup in the next 2 years that they might be willing to give up significant assets just to have him for this year and next year? And if he leaves after that, so be it. But we're in such a window in this moment that we would be willing to take that chance to do that.
I think there's two teams. They're both in Canada. One is Edmonton. The other is Toronto.
Yeah.
I can see both of them saying we need that caliber of player on the blue line. And because as we know, the cup window for Edmonton is probably 3 years. So because that's what McDavid is signed for after signing a 2-year extension just before the season. So I could see them doing that if Vancouver is willing to trade him in the division. We always say, oh, they're not willing to trade in the division. Those trades happen all the time. I mean, honestly, you're going to essentially you're going to take the best deal you can get. And if that happens to be from a division rival, then so be it. Edmonton traded him, Wayne Gretzky, to LA. That was a division rival at the time. Teemu Selanne was traded from the Ducks to the Sharks, a division rival. So it's not unheard of. We've seen Ryan Kessler.
Brad Marchand.
Brad Marchand is in Florida right now, and he's doing amazing things. Boston didn't have a problem sending him down there. So, yeah, it'll happen if that's the best deal. And if Edmonton makes the best deal for him, then I can see that happening. And maybe that's the other thing you want to do, maybe, is by having a full 18 months of him playing there, maybe he loves playing there and is like, man, playing with Leon and McDavid, this team is great. The city is great. We've got a cup window. We're winning games. Maybe I stay here and maybe I try and lure my brothers the other way. Maybe they force their way out of New Jersey and say, we'd like a trade. I don't know, but those are the two teams that jump off the page at me. The teams that I think need him the most, there's three, and I think it's Ottawa, Minnesota, and LA. They all desperately need that type of player to lead their blue line and take over games from the blue line. But I don't know that any of them have the pieces to make that deal. I think the price would go up if it's a division rival. So because he could re-sign. So if you're Vancouver and you're going to trade him to Edmonton or LA, the price would go up. You'd want a little extra juice on the deal. If he goes to Ottawa, you're only going to see him twice a year. It's not as painful. If he goes to New Jersey, everybody gets it. He's happy. You see him twice a year. So I can see that. But Minnesota, Ottawa, and LA, with a player like that, those are three teams that have either made the playoffs and had trouble advancing or have recently made the playoffs and are looking to go further. That's certainly a type of player that would help your cause when you get into the playoffs. A guy that can play 30 minutes a night, quarterback the power play, be a shutdown defenseman, be a one-man breakout. That's exactly the type of player those teams are looking for.
There was some video that surfaced. I don't know how much you put into this, but there was a video of Quinn Hughes cussing out Elias Pettersson during a game. I think those things happen. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but obviously when it's a player like that and there's all these things surrounding him, maybe it gets blown out of proportion. But look like Quinn is certainly, obviously he's a competitor and they're not having a very good season. So things like that will happen from time to time. I mean, coaches yell at players, players yell at players. I don't, it can be an issue at times, but it does happen. And most of the time it doesn't amount to much.
Well, did we see at any point a public display like that between
JT Miller
and Elias Pettersson?
I
don't think so. I think it was all very much behind the scenes, but they had a legitimate beef with each other and the Canucks made their choice. So I agree with you in the sense that those things happen. Players get frustrated. They yell at each other about where you're supposed to be out of position or why'd you pass that or this, that, the other. You got to get to the front of the net. You got to deflect that. You got to fight more for that puck, whatever the case may be. I don't think it means he's fed up and he wants out. I think that's more of a shutdown. He's not talking to players. He's just kind of being in his own world for the game, and he's not communicating with his teammates. He doesn't look like he's having fun out there. He's last one on the ice and first one off kind of stuff. So I don't read too much into that. No, I mean, and plus there's no, like I said, the smoke is already burning. It's not like this is out of nowhere. They're a bad team. If his brothers weren't star players in this league, it wouldn't be as big a thing, but it would still be a thing. But it's like, we know where he wants to go. And I did like the reporter that asked him, what did you hear about this call? And he's like, yeah, it's not like me and the coach and everybody are getting on the call. It's the two GMs are talking. Like you said, I'm sure it was the Devils calling them and saying, what would your asking price be? What's your timeline looking like? Let's start the process because it's going to be a it's going to be a long negotiation of trade. And we have plenty of time before the trade deadline, but why wait? You're not doing well. We would like to add him. Let's start the talk.
All right, let's move on to the injury report. The Dallas Stars may have lost forward Tyler Seguin for the rest of the season. 33-year-old forward injured in a game against the Rangers on Tuesday night, torn ACL. It didn't look like it was one of those injuries. It didn't look that bad. But he did kind of tweak the knee. You could see he didn't bend over, on top of it or get his legs taken out from him, but there was a collision and he did kind of land awkwardly and you could see it kind of buckle. But tough break for veteran player for the Dallas Stars, Tyler Seguin, likely done for the season.
Yeah, long-term injured reserve. It's retroactive, but not expected back anytime soon. And then they're already, in addition to that, they were already without Thomas Harley, their star defenseman, both literally and figuratively. And then Ilya Lyubushkin, a depth defenseman, went out this weekend. So it's the injuries are starting to hit Dallas. They still have plenty of depth and plenty of talent on that roster, but every team has a tipping point where it becomes too many injuries. And that's, I believe, 3 defensemen out now because Liam Bichel is also out. So with 3 defensemen out, obviously that's 3 new defensemen that have to come in and play. And even the best teams will struggle in that situation. The chemistry, the timing, as we talked about, the passing. So, but Tyler Seguin, a guy that certainly not the level of player that he used to be, but still a good player, and losing him for the season. The only good news is they know if they know he's gone for the year, then they know they can go out and spend that money via trade to replace him and potentially and not have to worry about being cap compliant in the playoffs because he will still be on the injured reserve.
We've had some weird injuries, and there's another weird one to talk about. But as far as on-ice injuries, this is one of the stranger ones I've seen lately. Flyers forward Tyson Forster going to miss 2 to 3 months with an upper body injury. He was hurt in a game against the Penguins on Monday. They're on the power play. He's up at the point. He gets a pass. He tries a one-timer, and he swings, and he falls to his knees, holds his shoulder, and leaves the ice and doesn't return. So no contact, just something snapped as he was winding up to try and unleash a big shot. And that was you don't see that very often.
Well, the beauty of HD cameras allowed me to figure out what happened here. So
this should be good.
You don't believe I have actual information?
Please, let's hear this actual information.
All right. Now, the game was against Pittsburgh Penguins, who are a rival of the Philadelphia Flyers.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look in the crowd, there is somebody with a Tyson Forster voodoo doll, and they wrench the shoulder just before, and then he crumples down in pain, and that person then quickly puts the voodoo doll in their bag and leaves the stadium during the commotion. So I think, to me, the NHL should be looking for that person.
That's quite the insight from you.
Yeah. Voodoo.
Yes. Blues forward Nathan Walker is going to be out 8 weeks with an upper body injury. Capitals
rookie. To hear that for a friend of the show.
I know.
The Australian sensation.
Yeah. We feel like he's kind of a friend.
Yeah. Unofficial friend.
Capitals rookie Ryan Leonard expected to be out an extended period of time. I believe it was Jacob Trouba that hit him up high, and so in the head area there. I think he was even bloodied a bit as he went off the ice. That was resulted in this injury. Also for the Capitals, backup goalie Charlie Lindgren's been placed on injured reserve. Leafs forward Brandon Carlo, also an extended period of time. We're starting to see this declaration now for players injured. And Stars defenseman Liam Bichsel, as you mentioned, out an extended period of time. What do you think? What is an extended period of time in your mind?
Well, I think we're going to have to come up with terms, because it was there's 1 to 2 weeks, day to day, and then there's long-term injured reserve. An extended period of time is longer than a bit. So if he's going to be out for a bit, that's, to me, 2 to 3 weeks. An extended period of time is 6 weeks or more. That's a decent amount of time. And then for a while would be 10 weeks or more. So if
a while is longer than extended.
Yeah, it's going to be, he's going to be out for a bit, 2 to 3 weeks. He's going to be out for an extended period of time. Well, that's 2 months. He's going to be out for a while. We're not even going to see him for 2 months, and then he's going to come back and start skating. So that's how I am going to start interpreting the NHL's vagueness, much like the lower body upper body injury. And we started theorizing that it was earlobes, toes, and stuff like that, because they were so vague. Hemorrhoids were a common lower body injury affliction for the 20-year-olds of the NHL. So that's what we're going to have to go with. And it's unfortunate that we're starting to see these pile up, because I don't think it's any more or less than a normal NHL season, but the condensed schedule of the Olympic season is just brutal. And when you lose a guy for a bit, 2 to 3 weeks, you're missing 10, 12 games. I mean, whereas in a normal season, he maybe misses 8. So those extra games crammed in there are big in the standings and can either drop you or potentially lift your opponents. So it's impactful when guys are missing significant amounts of time.
Well, Ducks goalie Peter Mrazek is out for a bit, 2 to 3 weeks with a lower body injury. Maple Leafs goalie Joseph Woll was placed on injured reserve. Senators put forward Shane Pinto on IR with a lower body injury. Predators put forward Ozzy Weisblatt on injured reserve. And our wacky injury of the week, we've seen barbecue.
I thought we already
injuries.
had that.
No. We've had the barbecue injury. We've had the broken or the cut finger from Jack Hughes. Blues forward Alex Toropchenko week to week after burning his legs in a home accident.
What?
He burnt his legs in a home accident.
What do you think that could be?
I mean, my first thought is maybe he was cooking and some kind of boiling water or something spilled on him.
Yeah, maybe some. I could see him if he was cooking in shorts.
Yeah.
And he had something going and he was frying something and he put something in there that was wet. The water is explosive in hot oil, and I can see it splashing out and burning his legs. The other thing, of course, is him shaving his legs, and the wax was too hot. He was into some adventurous and kinky lovemaking, and things got out of control. Maybe the safe word, he was gagged and couldn't use the safe word in time. I don't know. If you're not going to tell us, we get to theorize.
I guess. I mean, I was thinking maybe some kind of a suntan incident. We have seen there. I think there was a baseball player who like fell asleep in a tanning salon and couldn't play because he was a little cooked a little bit. So that actually has happened. So
no, but I'm thinking you said it was a burning incident. He burned his legs.
Burned his legs in a home accident. That's how it was described.
Because I'm trying to think. It's winter-ish. I mean, it's still autumn.
Maybe he was trying to build a fire in the fireplace.
That's possible. But why would your legs? Why would your legs get burned?
It was, the flames were down there by his feet, in that area there.
I can't. That's very mysterious. I hope God, it sounds terrible. Jackie has specific instructions of how to phrase things if anything like that happens to me. Doug was thwarting a bank robbery.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff, So then you look up the story, and I was actually, run over while I was in an outhouse. I dropped my cell phone in the outhouse and went after it.
Oh boy, that we know somebody that happened to. Yeah. That is awful. That is awful. Man. All right.
Worst part was the light was facing down, so I had to feel around for a bit to find it. God, when are you talking to me right now? The phone. Oh God.
I have gone to one of those while holding my phone with the light so I could see, and I was gripping that thing like it was a lifeline. All right, let's get to the signings this week. Tampa Bay Lightning signed veteran defenseman Ryan McDonagh to a 3-year extension worth $12.3 million. He will be 37 when the new contract kicks in. He'll make $4.1 million per season, running through the 2028-29 season. McDonagh was a part of back-to-back Stanley Cup champions with Tampa and has played 1,025 career NHL games.
Do you think these kinds of deals are cap circumvention?
No.
So you think he expects to play until he's 40?
I think in today's age that's not out of the question. If it were a 8-year deal or something like that, then yes, I certainly would be on board with that. But I think he could play 3 more years as a stay-at-home defenseman.
I mean, it's a fast league. I'm just saying. And Brad Marchand, remember, signed a ridiculous deal.
Yes.
You're telling me that wasn't cap circumvention?
That probably was.
He's 37 now, Brad Marchand, and he's signed until 2031. He's going to play till he's 43, is he?
No, I would say no to that. He's still got some good years though in him. He's playing well, but long, I don't know.
The NHL needs to. I have no problem. You want to sign him to an 8-year deal, 7-year deal, fine. You do not get cap relief because these guys are 35 or over, right? So you do not get cap relief when they retire. That's how I think that's how it works, but I'm not 100% sure. But that's how it should work. Is you can't just sign an older player to these ridiculous terms to get their average price down. And then, because I would be curious to see what McDonagh's injured right now. So it's not like his recent play was like, this guy's cooking. We got to get him locked up. He was drafted in 2007. I mean, we were doing the show, but barely. And I would like to see when is his signing bonus? What's he actually going to be paid in year 3? You know what I mean? Is it one of those where he's only making $1 million that year, so he'll retire and he doesn't care because he's already got 11.2 of the $12.3 million.
We have a Law and Order report here. This involves Ryan Kessler. I think we've mentioned this before. There is an update. He is going to trial. He is facing 2 misdemeanor counts of criminal sexual conduct in the 4th degree. We have found out that the alleged victim is a 17-year-old friend of his daughter. This alleged to have happened when she was 16. And I'm just going to read I read the report and the description of what he's accused of doing. So I don't know if I need to give a trigger warning for this or not. But anyway, she claims that she fell asleep on his couch while he was there and that she woke up and his foot was rubbing her crotch. So that's what he's accused of doing, apparently.
My mind goes to... Yeah, it goes to places that are humorous, and I am not going to do that because it is a serious allegation. But I can't help my comedian mind. It immediately thinks of jokes, much like the late, great Gilbert Gottfried, who never filtered himself and got himself fired from many deals because of his humor. But look, if he's guilty of this, my goodness, just despicable behavior by him. This is a friend of your daughter, and she's underage. She's asleep and is not giving consent. Everything is wrong with this if he is guilty of this. All of it.
He has maintained his innocence for the record.
Of course. And he'll have his day in court, and as will she.
Some random shots to close this out here.
How you prove or disprove that?
What's that?
I don't know how you prove or disprove that.
You don't unless there's a witness.
Yeah.
Yeah. The latest in the Olympic hockey rink saga, amid concerns that the rink may not be ready in time for the Olympics in February, we have now learned that the ice surface is shorter than your regulation NHL rink by a few feet. Why? I don't know. Don't they have
because the Italians said you want it 200 feet or you want it done on time. You can't have both.
I have no idea why they wouldn't meet the specifications to whatever the NHL had asked, but okay.
Incompetence.
Well, okay. To be fair, it was pointed out in the story that I read that the Global Series games played this year between the Penguins and the Predators in Sweden was on a rink of similar size. It was a little bit shorter than the normal NHL rink, and obviously that was fine. But it's like you're building a new rink for, this incredible spectacle where the world is watching and bringing and sending their players, and, the greatest players in this sport are going there. How does that happen? I don't know how that happens, but it did.
Incompetence. I mean, you got to think they went through multiple meetings and
how big you want the
processes
rink?
Of
Here
this.
you go. And then you measure it and you're like, this is 3 feet shorter than it's supposed to be. Why?
It's 4 feet shorter. And what I was thinking is they said we would need a 200-foot long rink. You got it. They measured out 200 feet. Yep. And then they put in the boards. And they're like, well, that took up, because boards are pretty thick there. That took up more than we thought. We didn't factor that in. And then we got the ice making facility and this and the first lane of seat. By the time we get it all done, it's 196 feet long. So that's the only thing I can think of is they measured 200 feet, but it's incompetent. I mean, and I saw an article. Bill Daly was talked by friend of the show, Matt Larkin. He reached out to Bill Daly and said, what's doing with this? And he's like, if the rink's not ready, we're not sending our players. And what a fiasco that would be. But you can't blame him.
Yeah, what they've done to the schedule is as you talked about, to accommodate this, and the players.
Right. We're just going to take 3 weeks off then.
I mean, it's not going to happen. I will be shocked beyond belief.
And let's be honest, the money they will make in the second half of the NHL season coming off of those players being showcased on a global stage. So yeah, it's unlikely that the fact that that's even an option is crazy. And then I haven't heard. I know there's a lot of discussion here about the American roster and the Canadian roster. Do you know, or have you seen any article about, will Russia be allowed to compete?
No, they're not competing in this.
So none of the Russians are going.
No,
they're not doing the IOC flag.
No, nothing. They got nothing.
Wow,
they're getting a break. So if you got a lot of Russians on your NHL squad, they're going to get some extended rest.
Yeah, they will be healed up and ready to go in the second half of the season. I'll be damned.
Winnipeg Jets and Montreal Canadiens going to play an outdoor game next season, Heritage Classic. It'll be at Winnipeg's Princess Auto Stadium. Have not heard of that one before. It's going to be played on October 25th. It's the 8th Heritage Classic since 2020, or the first since 2023. This will be the second outdoor game for Winnipeg. They played the Oilers in October of 2016, and then Montreal, this is their 5th outdoor game, first in 9 years for the Canadiens.
I like I think the Heritage Classic should be an annual event. I don't know what the significance of October 25th is. That's kind of a weird date to me. I think it should be more a Boxing Day kind of thing, or some date of significance in Canada. And I'd like to see it be an annual event that is between two Canadian teams, their version of the outdoor classic, the Winter Classic. So I hope they bring this back and it becomes an annual event for them.
Carolina Hurricanes owner Tom Dundon is in talks to sell a minority stake of his NHL franchise in an effort to raise money to purchase the NBA's Portland Trail Blazers, according to Front Office Sports. Dundon has owned the Hurricanes since 2018.
I love the would you like to buy a minority ownership? So you have no control, but you get to share in all the expenses. And of course, the profits long term, and you get to sell it. But the price I saw he was asking, did I see correctly that he was asking for $2 billion?
I mean, to me, if you're going to sell, that's a majority stake.
Yeah, that's buying the Panthers.
Yeah, that's buying the team. That's
or the Hurricanes.
Yeah, that's not a minority stake. That's selling the franchise. So
yeah, let me see if I can find that real quick, because I saw the price and I was like, well, that seems outrageous. The valuation is $2 billion. So he is looking to sell a significant minority stake. So he's probably looking for about
49%.
Yeah, $900 million. And that would be significant. And then make that check payable to Portland Trail Blazers.
And finally, former Dallas Stars owner Tom Hicketts has passed away at the age of 79. He owned the franchise from 1995 to 2011. He was the owner of the team when they won President's Trophies in 1998 and 99, and their only Stanley Cup title also in 1999. Tom Hicketts, I think he owned the Texas Rangers as well at one point.
He was not the one that moved them, but he's the one that bought them after they moved. Is that correct?
I think that's correct, yes.
Yeah, I
think that's correct.
I think the Minnesota Wild sold to him so that they could
the North Stars,
or the North Stars. Yeah, Minnesota sold to him so that they could move. But
yeah, I don't think
he did not buy them and then
I don't believe he owned them when they were in Minnesota. No, I think it was I think that was Norm Green, I believe, was the owner of the
that sounds
North Stars that moved them or sold them to be moved. Anything that you wanted to mention newsworthy that maybe I did not include in this first period?
Certainly not. We've covered a lot of ground, from World War II to sexual injuries to NHL players.
All right. Well, that'll do it for our first period of the YouTube show. If you enjoyed it, you want to hear more, check out the remaining 2 periods of the podcast. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. If you're already listening to the podcast, the second and third periods are coming right up. If you are watching on YouTube, I'm Eddie Garcia. He's Doug Stolhand, and we'll talk to you next time with another edition of the Puck Podcast.